There is one drink that over 60% of adults over 65 consume every single morning. Some of them drink it 2 or 3 times a day. Many have been drinking it their entire adult lives and consider it as routine as breathing. And it is doing something to their kidneys that nobody warned them about. Not dramatically, not with pain, not with any signal at all, because the kidneys don't send pain signals when they're under stress. They just quietly lose filtration capacity. A little more every year, a little more every cup. Now, before I tell you what this drink is, and I will tell you very soon, very clearly, I want you to understand something. This video is not about terrifying you into giving up something you love. It is about giving you the complete picture, the full science, the specific mechanisms, and the practical alternatives that let you protect your kidneys without feeling like you're being punished for a habit you've had for 50 years. Because the truth is, it's not the drink itself that's the problem for most people. It's the form of it, the quantity, the timing, and the specific version that most seniors are consuming right now that makes all the difference. Stay with me, because what I'm about to share changes the morning routine entirely. I am a doctor, and I am a board-certified nephrologist, a kidney specialist, and I have spent years in clinical practice watching a pattern repeat itself with painful consistency. A patient in their late 60s or 70s comes in for a routine blood panel. Their GFR, glomerular filtration rate, the number that tells us how efficiently the kidneys are filtering blood, has been declining. Quietly, steadily, often for years. No symptoms, no warning, just a number on a lab report that suddenly demands attention. And when I go through their daily routine, their food, their medications, their hydration, I find the same things, the same habits, often the same drinks, and almost always the same absence of information. Nobody told them, not their primary care doctor, not the packaging on the product, not the wellness community that told them it was healthy. That gap between what the nephrology research shows and what actually reaches people is why I make these videos. I am not your doctor. Please consult your physician before making any changes to your diet or medical regimen. If you have existing kidney disease at any stage, your nephrologist or renal dietitian needs to be part of any significant dietary changes you make. What I can give you is the science, clearly and honestly. Let's look at it together. The number one worst drink for senior kidneys. The drink is commercial fruit juice, not whole fruit, not fresh squeezed juice in small amounts. Commercial, packaged, processed fruit juice. The kind in cartons and bottles that line supermarket shelves. Orange juice, apple juice, grape juice, cranberry cocktail, vitamin-enhanced juice drinks. The category that for decades was marketed as the healthy morning choice, the one thing on the breakfast table that felt virtuous. I want to acknowledge something before we go further. The instinct to drink juice is not irrational. Fruit is genuinely nutritious. The vitamins are real. The natural compounds are real. And for most of human history, consuming fruit meant consuming it whole, with fiber intact in modest seasonal quantities, not year-round in a concentrated liquid form, stripped of every element that makes fruit metabolically safe. That transformation, from whole fruit to concentrated liquid, is where the problem lives. And it operates through 5 distinct biological pathways that together make commercial fruit juice one of the most consistently damaging daily habits for kidneys over 60. Let me walk through each one. Mechanism number 1, the fructose flood. What happens to your kidneys without fiber? When you eat a whole orange, you consume approximately 9 grams of naturally occurring fructose, but that fructose arrives packaged with fiber, specifically pectin and cellulose, that slows its absorption dramatically. The fructose enters your bloodstream gradually in a controlled, manageable trickle. When you drink a standard 8-ounce glass of commercial orange juice, you consume the fructose equivalent of 3 to 4 oranges, approximately 26 grams, with virtually no fiber. Every gram of that fructose hits your liver within minutes. Here is what the liver does with that sudden fructose flood. It metabolizes it through a pathway involving an enzyme called fructokinase. And one of the primary byproducts of that rapid fructose metabolism is uric acid. Not a small amount, a meaningful, measurable spike in serum uric acid with every glass. Inside the kidney, elevated uric acid does two damaging things simultaneously. It accumulates in the proximal tubule cells, the workhorses of kidney filtration, causing direct cellular inflammation and injury. And it precipitates in urine as uric acid crystals, the primary component of uric acid kidney stones, and a contributing factor in the more common calcium oxalate stones as well. A study from the University of Colorado, published in the Journal of the American Society of Nephrology, found that fructose consumption activated fructokinase specifically in kidney tissue, triggering local inflammation that was independent of the systemic uric acid effect. The kidneys were being damaged directly by the metabolic pathway, not just by the downstream products. For seniors over 65, whose kidneys are already processing uric acid less efficiently due to the natural GFR decline of aging, this fructose uric acid mechanism is amplified. Every glass of commercial juice that was manageable at 45 is a larger burden at 68 or 72. Now from what's naturally in the juice to what's been added to it. Mechanism number 2, the hidden sodium shock. What the label isn't telling you. This one catches almost everyone off guard. Most commercial fruit juices, particularly the no sugar added and 100% juice varieties, contain added sodium. Not in enormous quantities per serving, but enough consumed daily over years to contribute meaningfully to the cumulative sodium burden on aging kidneys. Beyond the sodium that appears on the label, many commercial juices contain potassium sorbate and sodium benzoate as preservatives, sodium-containing compounds that extend shelf life but add to the dietary sodium load without appearing in the prominent sodium figure on the nutrition panel. But the deeper issue with sodium in juice is this. Juice is a liquid that most people consume quickly, in minutes, not the extended time it takes to eat a meal. A rapid liquid sodium load reaches the kidneys as a concentrated bolus. The kidneys must respond immediately, activating the RAS, the renin-angiotensin-aldosterone system, to manage the balance. Chronic activation of the RAS, as I described in my previous video on kidney-damaging foods, elevates pressure inside the glomerular capillaries and drives the scarring process called glomerulosclerosis. A study from the University of Groningen tracking over 8,000 adults found that higher urinary sodium excretion, reflecting dietary sodium intake, was independently associated with accelerated GFR decline, with each additional gram of daily sodium corresponding to a 26% faster rate of kidney function loss. The irony is that many people drink commercial fruit juice specifically to avoid soda, choosing it as the clean alternative. But the sodium load, combined with the fructose burden, makes the kidney impact of commercial juice more damaging than many sodas for adults with already reduced kidney reserve. Mechanism number 3, the phosphate burden, the additive nobody talks about. Here we return to a compound I introduced in my video on kidney-damaging foods, because it appears in fruit juice in a form that most consumers would never anticipate. Many commercial juices, particularly those marketed as fortified or enhanced, contain inorganic phosphate additives. Calcium phosphate is added to orange juice as a fortification agent. Phosphate compounds are used as acidulants and stabilizers in juice drinks and juice-based beverages. And unlike naturally occurring phosphorus in whole fruit, these inorganic phosphate additives are absorbed at a rate of 90 to 100%, far higher than the 40 to 60% absorption rate of naturally bound phosphorus in food. For aging kidneys whose phosphate excretion capacity has declined alongside their overall GFR, this additional inorganic phosphate load contributes to hyperphosphatemia, elevated blood phosphate, which damages vascular walls, accelerates cardiovascular calcification, and directly impairs remaining nephron function. A study published in the American Journal of Kidney Diseases found that dietary phosphate intake from additive sources, as opposed to naturally occurring food phosphorus, was independently associated with elevated cardiovascular mortality and accelerated kidney disease progression, even at phosphate levels considered normal by standard clinical thresholds. The practical takeaway from this mechanism: even the calcium-fortified orange juice that sounds like a bone health benefit carries a phosphate cost that senior kidneys pay silently. Mechanism number 4, the dehydration paradox. Why juice doesn't hydrate your kidneys. This mechanism is perhaps the most counterintuitive of all 5, because juice is a liquid. Drinking it feels like hydrating, but for your kidneys, specifically, it is not. Here is the biology. Effective kidney hydration requires adequate blood volume reaching the renal arteries and adequate fluid volume in the tubules where urine is being formed and concentrated. That hydration is achieved by plain water and electrolyte-balanced fluids. It is not effectively achieved by high-solute liquids. When you drink a glass of commercial juice, your kidneys must process a significant solute load: fructose, glucose, potassium, sodium, phosphate, and other dissolved compounds. Managing that solute load actually requires the kidneys to use water to produce adequate urine volume for excretion. In other words, juice creates a net renal water demand. It asks the kidneys to do work, and that work requires fluid, rather than delivering the free, clear hydration that the renal tubules need. This is why people who drink juice instead of water as their primary morning beverage often have concentrated, darker urine than those who drink water, even though they feel hydrated. The juice is feeding the kidney work, not supporting kidney rest. A study from the Clinical Journal of the American Society of Nephrology found that inadequate water intake, and specifically the substitution of high-solute beverages for plain water, was independently associated with a 40% faster rate of kidney function decline in adults with CKD and with significantly higher rates of kidney stone recurrence in stone-forming patients. For seniors over 65, whose baseline kidney function is already reduced and whose sensation of thirst is naturally diminished, replacing morning juice with a large glass of plain water, warm water with lemon or hibiscus tea is one of the most direct interventions available for kidney protection. Mechanism number 5, the potassium imbalance, when healthy minerals become a problem. The 5th mechanism is one that applies specifically and urgently to seniors with any degree of existing kidney function reduction, and it is one that most people consuming juice for its perceived health benefits have never been told about. Commercial fruit juices, particularly orange juice, tomato juice, and grape juice, are very high in potassium. In a healthy young kidney, potassium is managed without difficulty. The kidneys simply excrete what isn't needed. Potassium regulation is elegant and automatic. In aging kidneys, particularly in adults with GFR below 60, which represents stage 3 chronic kidney disease and affects approximately 30% of adults over 70, potassium excretion becomes significantly impaired. The kidneys cannot clear potassium efficiently. It accumulates in the bloodstream. And elevated blood potassium, hyperkalemia, is not a metabolic curiosity. It is a cardiac emergency. Hyperkalemia disrupts the electrical conduction system of the heart. It causes arrhythmias, irregular heartbeats that can progress to ventricular fibrillation and sudden cardiac death. It is one of the most feared complications in nephrology precisely because it can develop without warning in patients whose kidney function decline has been clinically silent. A study from the Journal of the American Geriatric Society found that high dietary potassium intake from concentrated sources, including fruit juices, was significantly associated with hyperkalemia risk in older adults with moderate kidney function decline, a population that often does not know they have reduced kidney function at all. An 8-ounce glass of orange juice contains approximately 450 milligrams of potassium. 2 glasses, a common daily amount, is nearly 900 milligrams. For an adult with stage 3 CKD, this represents a meaningful daily hyperkalemia risk. And for the 30% of adults over 70 who have stage 3 CKD without a formal diagnosis because the decline was silent and the lab was never checked, that risk is present right now, unreckoned with every morning glass. Here is the complete picture assembled into clear, practical guidance. The drink, commercial packaged fruit juice, in all its forms, from orange to grape to cranberry cocktail to vitamin-enhanced juice beverages, consumed daily in standard quantities by a majority of seniors. The 5 mechanisms working against your kidneys: the fructose flood producing uric acid and direct tubular inflammation, the hidden sodium and additive burden activating pressure-damaging RAAS pathways, the inorganic phosphate additives overwhelming aging excretion capacity, the dehydration paradox where juice creates renal work rather than renal hydration, and the potassium concentration risk for the 30% of seniors with undiagnosed CKD. The replacements: specific, research-backed, and genuinely enjoyable. Plain water, 16 ounces first thing every morning, before anything else. Warm water with fresh lemon, delivering urinary citrate for stone prevention and gentle kidney support. Hibiscus tea, documented to reduce blood pressure in the glomerular vessels and reduce kidney filtration pressure. Tart cherry juice, diluted 50% with water and limited to 4 ounces. Delivering anti-inflammatory anthocyanins and uric acid reduction without the fructose flood of full-strength juice. Ginger tea, reducing the inflammatory cytokines that damage nephron tissue directly. And if you genuinely cannot give up orange juice, the intermediate step is this: eat the whole orange instead of drinking the juice. Same vitamins, same natural compounds, completely different metabolic impact because the fiber is intact and the fructose absorption is controlled. That single substitution, orange for orange juice, reduces the fructose load by 65%, eliminates the additive phosphates entirely, and transforms a kidney-damaging habit into a kidney-neutral one. No supplement required, no dramatic lifestyle overhaul, just the whole fruit instead of its processed liquid shadow. I want to close with something that I think about in the clinic every time I look at a declining GFR trend. Every one of those data points on the graph, every small drop in filtration capacity, represents years of small decisions, small daily habits that accumulated into a trajectory. And the most frustrating part of my work is knowing that many of those trajectories could have bent differently with different information earlier. Not perfect information, not a complete dietary overhaul, just the specific targeted knowledge that changes a few key daily decisions, like what's in the glass on the breakfast table every morning. You have that knowledge now. What you do with it, one glass at a time, one morning at a time, is the practical translation of everything I've shared today. Your kidneys are filtering your blood right now as you watch this. They have been doing it without complaint, without recognition, for every year of your life. The least we can do is give them a morning drink that helps rather than hinders. If this video gave you something useful, something that will sit in your mind the next time you reach for a juice carton, something worth sharing with a parent or a friend, please consider subscribing. Every week I bring you this same quality of honest, clinical, research-backed guidance, completely free, because this information belongs to you. Next week, I'm going to cover the 5 specific lab numbers that every adult over 60 should request at their annual physical. Numbers that give you the earliest possible picture of kidney health long before symptoms appear, long before the trajectory becomes difficult to change, including the one number that most general practitioners don't check unless you specifically ask for it. That video could genuinely change the outcome. Until then, drink your water, eat your whole fruit, and take care of the organs that take care of everything else.